Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It is Christian here. Thank you so much for joining me today. So today we are doing installment number 3 of my one product that hyped up a brand and took them to a whole nother level of social media success. So this week we're going to be talking all about Juvia'splace, and Juvia'splace is a brand that over the past, I'd say 3 years, has definitely taken off. I want to say that they kind of specialize in eyeshadow palettes, and I don't know if that's an accurate description of the brand because the brand is still fairly new, but it tends to be that most of what they release are eyeshadow palettes. They do have a couple of individual blushes, they do have some lip glosses, they have brushes, they have 2 blush type palettes, and they have a ton of different eyeshadow palettes. So if you are interested in the one product that took Juvia'splace to the next level, then you're for sure in the right place, and you definitely want to go ahead and keep on watching. So before I get into the video, I just want to say that if you're new to my channel, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you don't mind, go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below. Give this video a thumbs up if you really enjoyed this content. It's just a fun way to talk about different makeup brands and the one product that just brought them so much success. And I'm having a really fun time thinking about this type of video and thinking about the different products that I can talk about per week, per brand. And if you're not new to my channel, as always, thank you for continuing to support me and of course my channel. And yeah, let's go ahead and get into the video. Alright guys, so just a little bit of backstory. Juvia'splace, I believe, was founded in 2014. They are a Black owned brand, and they are owned by, and I cannot pronounce the name, so I'm just gonna put it here on the screen. She is married and a mother of 2. When she initially launched Juvia'splace was brushes only. She launched, I believe, a brush bundle. And the first time I remember hearing about Juvia'splace was actually from Alyssa Ashley here on YouTube. And most of you might be aware of a lot of the different scandals and things that happened and transpired with that particular situation. Juvia'splace kind of just blew up out of nowhere, and it was because of the one product that I am actually about to talk about. One thing that I do want to mention when it comes to Juvia'splace, again, they do specialize in eyeshadow palettes. So of course, the thing that we're going to be talking about today is an eyeshadow palette. Now the owner, and I do want to pull it up because I do think it's kind of important to mention, so I am going to read off of my phone. So the great thing about Juvia'splace is they're very concerned about pigmentation. They're very concerned about blendability and making sure that your eyeshadows are going to show up. They are very people of color friendly, of course, because they are owned by a person of color. Whenever they make their eyeshadow palettes, they want to make sure that they are going to work on a variety of skin tones. No matter what your skin tone, no matter the fairest of the fair or the deepest of the deep, these eyeshadows are going to perform on your eye. So it says, and this is a quote that I am reading. So the owner says, I have dark skin, so anytime I pick colors and formulas, I always test on my skin and even darker skin tones, and we compare colors that will pop and formulas that are long lasting but yet cost effective. The rule of thumb is, if it shows beautifully on my skin and on darker skin tones, then it's a yes for Juvia'splace. For me personally, I want colors that any woman of color can wear. A lot of the bigger brands don't go the extra step, and it's very obvious. It is our daily goal to produce products women of color can wear comfortably but yet feel and look beautiful at the same time. I'd love to consider Juvia'splace one of the most inclusive brands on the market. And as far as their eyeshadow palettes, I definitely do agree with that. Like I mentioned already, they cross a vast variety of skin tones, and I know a lot of us don't think, especially when, you know, inclusivity is becoming such a huge topic and a huge discussion, which I think is fantastic in the makeup world today. A lot of people don't really think about eyeshadows as being inclusive, or can any and everybody wear a particular eyeshadow? And no, some eyeshadows are too light. Some eyeshadow palettes don't have good enough transition shades or deepening shades for people of color, and that is where I feel like Juvia'splace really found their niche, and I feel like they are knocking it out of the park. But they also have excellent formulations for extremely affordable prices. None of their eyeshadow palettes are over $25, and they do have a brush bundle that retails for $40, but this is not like a commercial for Juvia'splace. So let me go ahead and ring it back in and let you know the product that I think kind of took Juvia'splace to the next level. This is the one product that everybody was talking about. This is one product that Nikki Tutorials, Jaclyn Hill even mentioned, and this is the one eyeshadow palette that kind of had everybody saying, oh, they're serious. They're here to party. They're here to make an eyeshadow. And that is the Nubian eyeshadow palette. This eyeshadow palette does retail for $20. Juvia'splace is now sold at Ulta, which is absolutely amazing. So not only can you use your favorite influencers' codes on the Juvia'splace website, you can now use coupons and earn points for Juvia'splace on Ulta.com. And a little secret, I just bought a ton of Juvia'splace eyeshadows because I'm going to be doing a full review talking about their eyeshadows. Now, I did mention this product in my 2017 one of my favorite eyeshadow palettes. I believe I did, if I'm not mistaken. This eyeshadow palette is amazing. It retailed for $20. Now, it does not come with a mirror, which I don't really care about because I've got literally like 5 mirrors in the vicinity of where I am currently. But if you want to travel, if you're trying to do your makeup like on the go, of course, that won't work for you because there's no mirror. Now, this does have 12 shades in here, and this is a very neutrally palette, and I feel like they came out with this palette at the perfect time. I feel like a neutral palette, even though you can say, oh, it's so boring, it's a neutral palette, we've seen 100 of those. I think it's very smart for a new brand releasing their first eyeshadow palette to come out with something that's a little bit more neutral, because if they had come out with the Zulu palette first, or you know, something that might be a little bit more intimidating, people might not have gravitated towards it as quickly. But with the neutral palette and an affordable neutral palette, of course it's going to gain hype, of course it's going to gain recognition because of its affordability, it's easy to use, it's easy to wear, and anybody can put these colors on their eyeballs and make it work. So I love this palette. The first thing that I will say about Juvia'splace is they are super blendable. Like, they work extremely, extremely well. And one thing that I do like about this particular palette is that the colors, while neutral, they don't have those unnecessary shades. I feel like, especially in a lot of neutral palettes, you tend to start seeing a lot of very similar looking eyeshadows. Like, you will see that like when you apply them on the eye, they're gonna look identical. I feel like in this particular palette, every eyeshadow stands out, but they are also cohesive enough to where that when you put them on the eye, they don't muddy together, they don't blend into nothingness. I mean, it's beautiful. The pigmentation on this is stunning. Love this shade. Woo! So you do get this really beautiful shade, which is like a duochrome champagne with a shift of pink right in there. And then you get some excellent crease colors here. Then, of course, depending on your skin tone, these are light enough for me to be crease colors or transition shades. And then if you are a little bit deeper, you can definitely go other places in this particular palette. These eyeshadows definitely pack a punch, you guys. They're fantastic. I haven't reached for my Juvia'splace eyeshadows in quite some time, and as I'm swatching this palette right now, I'm kind of like, why? So the 2 original palettes that I purchased were this particular palette and the Saharan palette. And I picked this palette up first because it was neutral and because I looked at it and I was like, yes, I could use this every day. It is just makeup girl friendly. It's easy, you guys, and it's easy in the best possible way. And I know when you think, oh, easy or neutral, at that, like, I feel like at this makeup climate, it's almost like, oh, that equals boring. There is nothing boring about these particular eyeshadows. Now, when you start to look at some of their newer eyeshadow palettes, I definitely think that they have gotten the more color, the more intensity, the more vibrancy down with some of their newer eyeshadow palettes, but this is definitely a staple product. If you purchase this, you would not be sorry, you would not regret it. This would quickly become some of your favorite eyeshadows. I only use 2 Juvia'splace eyeshadows, this one and the Saharan palette, but I live, breathe for those particular palettes. And I just purchased 4 or 5 more. You'll be seeing that in an upcoming Ulta haul, and we're gonna just really dive deep into this particular brand. Some people are bold enough to say that this is the best eyeshadow formulation on the market. I am a little nervous to make that claim because that's a big claim to make, but for the affordability, these definitely knock it out of the park. I find them to be better, in my opinion, than ColourPop and Morphe. That's just my personal opinion. I haven't played or tested ColourPop a ton. The only 2 palettes from ColourPop that I've really used are the Makeup by Shayla palette and then the Kathleen Lights Dream Street. So I'm not really a ColourPop connoisseur, but I do find these, in my opinion, to be better, and I definitely do find them, I'm kind of comparing them to ColourPop right now because they're in similar price ranges. I do find them to be a little bit more unique, Juvia'splace, than ColourPop is. So that's why I definitely think that if you have not tested out this brand, it is worth it. I definitely think early on with Juvia'splace, they definitely had a lot of growing pains. There were issues with customer service. There was issues just with a lot of different things because they just blew up and they grew so fast. I haven't heard any issues about about them since, but if you're worried about that, or that's why you never purchased from them in the past, now that they're available at Ulta, I definitely think that they are worth taking a look at, in my humble opinion. So of course, when I was thinking about Juvia'splace, I knew that I was going to do this because I have several weeks worth of palettes, or several weeks worth of brands that I wanted to talk about and their particular products. So I already knew that I was going to talk about Juvia'splace, and I already knew that I was going to talk about the Nubian palette. But when I found this particular article online, even the owner of Juvia'splace said that it was this particular palette that caused their brand to explode. So again, and I'm quoting here, she said, "I will say most of the growth has happened within the last 2 years. We started with makeup brushes, and when we launched the Nubian palette, it just went viral. So the growth has happened rapidly. They don't get as much recognition as ColourPop and Morphe, and I'm not really sure why. I don't know if it's because of their initial, you know, launches and people just have like a sour taste in their mouth from whenever they originally came out. I'm not sure, because they're just as affordable as ColourPop and Morphe. I know that they don't have as much in their collection as ColourPop and Morphe do, but I definitely think that they should be talked about more. They should be raved about more. And the only big influencer who I really hear talking about talking about Juvia'splace a ton is Nikki Tutorials, and that could just be because all other big YouTubers kind of are in Morphe's pocket in the least shadiest way possible. I'm saying that. But this palette is amazing. If you have not tested Juvia'splace, if you have not tried the Nubian palette, I definitely recommend it. They have a Nubian 2 as well, which I just purchased. I think that this is a staple neutral palette. It can go very dark, very deep, very vampy, but you can kind of stay right here in this area and keep it very, very work appropriate. You can smoke it out with this super, super chocolatey brown that will give you the same effect that a black would. I always prefer these more chocolatey browns than blacks because I don't really wear black eyeshadow a whole lot. So yeah, you guys, that is kind of the history of Juvia'splace in a 15-minute video, and what I think about their brand and what I thought about this particular palette. I thought it was fantastic, and yeah, so I like to keep these videos pretty short and sweet and kind of to the point. So let me know in the comment section below if you agree with me, if there was another Juvia'splace palette that you picked up first that really made you think that they garnered the most hype from something other than what I just mentioned today. I would love your thoughts and opinions on that. Let me know down below some of the brands that you would like to see me talk about next, and I will go ahead and put it out there. Brands like Urban Decay, Too Faced, NARS, Stila, brands like that are going to be a little bit harder for me to do because those brands have been around forever. So it's going to be a little bit hard for me to kind of pinpoint a specific product and roll with that. So if you've noticed, my last couple of videos, or my first couple of videos, have been brands that have only been around for 4 or 5 years, because I can definitely say, yes, it's that particular product. But anyways, let me know down below what you want me to talk about next week. I really hope that you are enjoying this series. And yeah, you guys, I will see you next week. Bye, guys.